Milton Friedman's Capitalism and Freedom is a landmark work that passionately argues for the inseparable link between economic freedom and political liberty. Written in the post-World War II era, Friedman's book responds to the rising tide of government intervention and centralized planning that characterized much of the 20th century. From the outset, he sets the tone by asserting that freedom in economic arrangements is a necessary condition for political freedom, challenging the view that economic controls are compatible with democracy. The book unfolds through a series of carefully reasoned essays, each tackling key areas where Friedman sees government overreach threatening individual liberty. His approach is pragmatic and grounded in real-world observations rather than idealistic theory. He insists that many social problems blamed on capitalism are actually caused or worsened by government interference. By stripping away layers of bureaucracy and regulation, Friedman believes societies can unlock unprecedented prosperity and personal freedom. One of the most striking aspects of Capitalism and Freedom is Friedman's clear, engaging writing style. He makes complex economic concepts accessible without diluting their importance. Throughout the book, Friedman uses examples from various countries and historical moments to illustrate his points, giving readers a tangible sense of how economic policies play out in practice. His critiques are direct but measured, avoiding ideological dogmatism in favor of careful argument. Central to the book is the idea that voluntary exchange in free markets, where individuals make choices without coercion, fosters innovation, efficiency, and wealth creation. Friedman emphasizes that markets are the best mechanisms to allocate resources because they reflect individual preferences and knowledge, which no central authority can fully grasp. He argues that attempts to control markets through price controls, subsidies, or monopolies inevitably lead to inefficiencies and loss of freedom. Friedman also tackles controversial topics with intellectual courage. For example, his support for a negative income tax, a form of guaranteed minimum income, shows his willingness to propose practical reforms that reduce poverty without expanding government bureaucracy. This reflects his broader philosophy that government's role should be limited but smart, targeting clear problems without overstepping its bounds. The book addresses the role of education, where Friedman advocates for school vouchers to foster competition and improve quality. He sees education as a key to equal opportunity but criticizes government-run monopolies that often fail to deliver. This policy proposal remains influential and widely debated, highlighting Friedman's practical approach to applying libertarian principles. Friedman is equally critical of government controls on money supply, arguing that central banks' manipulation of currency causes economic instability and inflation. He proposes a rules-based monetary policy that limits discretionary intervention, foreshadowing debates that continue to this day. His emphasis on sound money reflects his belief that stable currency underpins economic freedom and trust in institutions. Throughout the book, Friedman maintains a deep respect for individual choice and responsibility. He warns against the paternalism that justifies excessive government intervention for people's own good, emphasizing instead the importance of allowing individuals to make their own decisions, even if they make mistakes. This respect for autonomy is a recurring theme that ties together his diverse policy arguments. Friedman's critique extends to foreign policy, where he opposes military interventions and imperial ambitions that compromise liberty at home and abroad. He argues that a free society should avoid entangling alliances and instead focus on defense and diplomacy, reinforcing his commitment to non-coercion and limited government. What stands out in Capitalism and Freedom is Friedman's confidence in the power of freedom itself, not just as a political ideal but as a practical means to improve lives. He sees capitalism not as an end but as a tool to empower individuals to pursue their goals and innovate. His optimism about human ingenuity and market forces shines through every chapter. The book also recognizes that freedom is fragile and must be actively defended. Friedman warns that once governments start expanding their power, it becomes difficult to roll back, leading to creeping authoritarianism. This cautionary note adds urgency to his arguments and connects economic policy to broader concerns about democracy. Friedman's influence extends beyond economics into the cultural and political spheres. His ideas helped shape the rise of neoliberalism in the late 20th century, influencing leaders and policymakers worldwide. The book remains a touchstone for debates about the proper role of government and the benefits of free markets. Despite being over half a century old, Capitalism and Freedom continues to resonate because its core message, linking economic liberty to political freedom, is timeless. Friedman's arguments encourage readers to critically examine government power and advocate for policies that protect individual choice. The narrative is more than just a policy treatise, it's a call to action. Friedman challenges citizens to recognize the dangers of excessive government control and to champion a society where freedom is preserved in both politics and economics. By the end of the book, readers come away with a clear understanding of how economic policies affect liberty and why safeguarding markets is essential for democratic life. Friedman's work invites us to consider freedom not as a luxury but as the foundation for prosperity, justice, and human dignity.